Hello everybody, welcome to a special Weighted to Win edition. We are very excited to be here at the Thoroughbred Breeders Association Sales Complex, Bloodstock, South Africa. It's that weekend and time of the year. And we're excited also because we have a very special guest in Greg Bortz, who's joined us to be part of Weighted to Win. Hasn't been on our show before, and it's a privilege to have you, Mr. Bortz, in our studio that we've set up here today.
Great, thanks to be with you guys. I'm not quite dressed to your high standards, but hopefully I won't belittle the show too much.
I don't believe you will at all.
Okay.
Your presence is a privilege, and it's just for us. We want to engage and tap into your knowledge and all of that sort of stuff around a Weighted to Win perspective. We deal with punters ultimately, the patrons, and a lot of owners I think follow us too, and we try our very best to appease both at the end of the day. But something like today, where it's the start of a sale, right? And Greg Bortz wakes up in the morning, I mean, knowing you're coming to a sale now, there's got to be some sort of energy, a different kind of energy, knowing you're coming in to be part of the Thoroughbred, for which some people don't know that feeling and what that's all about. What does it mean to someone like Greg Bortz?
Well, I'll tell you, in terms of if you're buying a horse, there is no better feeling than looking at horses, finding a horse that you like, targeting a horse, and the hammer comes down to you and you've wound up buying a horse. It's unbelievable. So, I mean, obviously being horse ownership, the journey starts from, let's call it, a month or two ago when the catalog comes out, and then every night you're reading the catalog and highlighting pages and this one, and then all the talk goes on, and then you come before the sales and you look at the horses, and then you standing there and you go, oh no, they're also looking at that same horse, and you know, you peeking around corners. So it's a whole journey until you get to the arena. And then the excitement builds and builds. So it's fantastic. And then you get the horse and it's fantastic. And then you don't see it for another year. So then you come down and then the rest of it. So my horses that are running now, just started running now, horses that I bought at this sale a year ago. Right. So, you know, it's a long journey, but today is the culmination. It's one of the highlights, not just the races itself when they're running in the big races, but the sale itself when you can get whatever it is you're targeting is an amazing feeling.
We seem to struggle. I mean, you look at something like this, we've been involved in it, I suppose, all our lives, but then you come across people whom you may bring to the sale, for example, and introduce them, and you want them to feel that adrenaline rush, and yet they don't seem to grasp it or get it. It's almost like you need to fall in love with a horse, right?
Yeah, I can tell you though, you don't have to be a very horsey person. If somebody brings you to the sale, and you walk out and you're walking through the boxes and you're looking at horses, and then all of a sudden one horse pokes its head out the box and puts its head on your shoulder. Next thing you know, that's my horse. You look at the lot number and then you're watching it when it comes. I've seen many a person fall in love with it by being in this space and being around these animals. It's very contagious.
Well, we Weighted to Win, and we've done a few road shows, but we've been around a bit and engaging with people, haven't we?
Yes, we have been fortunate enough, and the general feedback we've gotten is quite positive. I'd like to know, from the Western Cape, have we been well received that side?
In terms of your show?
Yes.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I'm not a punter, so I don't follow it in that regard.
You need to start punting because you need to contribute to stakes now, right? Outside of the wallet,
I've got the backstory, so I don't.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, your show's been super well received, and I've said this to everybody, and I've had the opportunity to meet with lots of different people that are in different spheres of the industry. Anything that anybody can do just to add to the general knowledge level, excitement, contribution, you know, everybody's got to pull together, and it's such a valuable thing, and particularly people that are new to the game. Obviously, a big part of it is coming, you open your computer form or race card and whatever it may be, and it's gobbledygook to a lot of people, like, what is this stuff? And having guys like you just demystify it, make it simple, and I think it's great, and I'm sure only onwards and upwards from here.
Thanks, Greg.
Love to be in the Western Cape soon.
And we've got our mate Darren Burrows, of course,
Yes,
in the Cape.
yeah, I'd like to touch on
Darren Burrows is now an owner extraordinaire.
Yes, I see.
Yeah,
I see that.
Fantastic.
I mean, he's made it well known that he's had hardships in his life. And it just shows you that this game can change lives. It's turned around for him. He took a chance with Weighted to Win. He's now in such a positive mood, and somebody out here, his life is going to be changed. They're going to buy a champion. That just shows you what a wonderful industry we are.
Well, the best part about it is, I don't care who you are, I don't care how much money you have, I don't care what analysis you have, or the insight, or the graft, or the this and the that. At the end of the day, You don't choose a champion, they choose you. And I've realized that no matter how much I think I've looked at the catalog, and at the end of the day, when a horse finds you and you wind up with that dream horse, be it a Komati Dung or be it what have you, you know, that is life changing. And the thing is, anybody, that opportunity can happen to anybody. It's not only certain people have the opportunity. Yeah. Yes, certain people may have bigger budgets than others or what have you, but horses don't know their prices.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Greg, the industry for a while took a bit of a lull. Ultimately, when you come to a sale like this as an owner, I guess you need peace of mind to actually, you know, look into the sport and say, I'm satisfied that the sport is now back on its feet. I say that inverted commas because there's a lot of work to be done. Obviously, we understand how much work you've already done with your partners, etc. But that does help to know that you're coming in, you know, that, to find that you have that the peace of mind for the next 3 to 5 years. I'm committed. I'm in, and the energy's back. I find the energy's creeping back one way or the other, and I think it's going to continue to do so.
Yeah, no, there's no question. I mean, I've said repeatedly that the epicenter of whatever strategy we're embarking on in the Cape is that the owner is the epicenter of the strategy. And the reason the owner is the epicenter of the strategy is that the day you decide to buy a racehorse is you're committing to a liability, not to an asset, right? It's a liability. You're going to spend money on day one, and then you're going to spend money on training fees, vet fees, and everything else that comes with it. And what are you getting in return? You may get some money back in the form of stakes, but what you're getting is love, passion, and enjoyment. Either way, it's an investment, it's an entertainment, right? So it has to start with the owner. If you don't have owners buying horses, you don't have breeders breeding horses. You have fewer horses available. You have smaller fields. You guys, betting, you know what it's like. Betting turnovers when you've got 7 horse fields, it all, so it's a momentum. So the focus for me in coming in has been owner, owner, owner. So how do you get owners? Stakes, right? You've got to make this liability smaller. You've got to be able to recover half of your keep, 3/4 of your keep. Maybe you have a good horse, you can recover all your keep, you know? So that's why we've gone with jacking up stakes. We've in the Cape, we've had a race Cape incentive scheme. We pay saddling fees and appearance fees, and the economics have completely changed. And if you look at our average field sizes, they're up to over 11. A field when we came in, they were 7.5, 8, and you're seeing that momentum going. And so that has attracted more people in, and we believe that will continue.
Greg, what comes with it ultimately is, you know, if you're not necessarily at the race course, the information that you've just alluded to is so important around where that comes from. And for racing TV, for example, is 240 to where it started out, where it is now, with so much innovation. And waited to win. Daryl Marie, myself, we sort of part of our sin is to make sure that during all day, whatever is the output is the accurate output and that sort of stuff. But we're finding that it's providing more. The picture quality seems to be so much better, and from an innovation perspective around something like augmented reality, which is where we're speaking about, where you're going into this 3D, 4D dimension, whatever that world is, that's still to come. That must be very exciting for you.
Yeah, all of it. I mean, if I think how far, just look at, you guys look at 240 and the picture quality in a year, and certain camera work, and the horses going into the starting stalls compared to where it was a year ago, and the things of that nature. Everything's getting better in that regard. Time is being good to us. Things are improving all the time. Lots of new developments around it, the things you've alluded to. So I think the most important thing has to be, as I said, as long as the incentive is there for owners to buy horses, everything else will come in, everything else will follow. There'll be more people punting, there'll be more developments in terms of all these other technological developments, because it's an exciting thing happening. And by the way, you know, one thing not that this was a question that you asked, but it's worth talking about, seeing me sitting here doing a TV interview, which is, people go back to the days in the 70s and the 80s where you used to walk into a race course and there were 40,000 or 30,000 people on course.
Correct.
And everyone yearns for those days. But that's silly. To me, that's silly. That's looking backwards and not looking forwards. The world has changed. In those days, you couldn't go on Channel 240. You couldn't bet on your iPad and your phone. If you wanted to have a bet, you had to go on course to the bookmaker that was standing in the ring. The world's different now. Now you can sit at home, you can watch on TV, you can have a bet on your iPad. So we got to accept that that's how the world is changing. And what we are doing is we're delivering great content for people to enjoy either in person or at home or in an airport lounge on their phone and what have you.
Correct.
So that's how it's changing. So I think there mustn't be a fixation on how many people are sitting in a grandstand. That's not what
those days are
creates it.
gone.
We've got to create the best product, which
Yep.
is both the quality of horses on the track, the field sizes, the strength of the field, and shows like what you're doing and other forms of things, content that we provide for people to get to enjoy racing in whatever form.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, for example, if you go back to the days that you refer to, you couldn't get a seat if it was New Metro or Ster-Kinnick or now today you've turned your home into this almost home theatre, so to speak, and that picture and that quality and making it enjoyable for the whole family. I mean, we are challenged now often when you get phone calls, the race is just run. Now, well, you need to move on to the next race, but there's such an important owner interview that you need to show. That sort of content, am I right, Daryl? It's so important around making sure that you're able to, you know, please both parties. Never easy, but we do our best to do so, right?
Absolutely, Clyde. Also, back then, the only legal form of gambling was horse racing. So that's understandable why the crowds were...
Yeah, no, so crowds to me, everyone talks about, they're all fixated on crowd sizes. And of course, for me, you want to get crowds just to create an atmosphere and a buzz. But at the end of the day, it's just all about the content. It's all about the content. And what is the content? The stars of the show are the horses. If we put on great racing, the rest will follow. I really believe that.
You've got lots of ideas coming. There's, I'm sure, a lot of groundwork that you've started your journey. You've seen it. You've got your strategy. You know where you're going with all of this. You've now invested in a major gaming company as well, which is great to see. And there may well be an upside for horse racing. So, I guess from a viewer's perspective, the question would be: there's lots to look forward to, promising news. I know it's difficult to commit, but it's exciting that you're starting to shake the cage, so to speak, and things are moving forward.
Yeah. So I'm hesitating for a second because I get asked the question, why am I doing it? I can tell you, had I not made money, I can make a small fortune from racing. I absolutely can. It's by starting with a big fortune, because there's no upside in racing from an ownership perspective, and that's what has people scratching their heads. Yeah. People don't understand it. Like, they're trying to figure out, and let's be clear, there has been a very sullied recent history, right? There has been some bad actors involved. There has been business rescue. There has been all these things, and that is because there have been a lot of people that have taken out and not put in.
Right.
Let me start off by saying the following. As it relates to racing, certainly myself and my future partner, Hollywood Bets, as soon as they are through a competition commission.
The approvals, yeah.
Yeah, will be only putting in. And certainly from my perspective, they obviously are a large betting company. I don't have any other horse in the game, so to speak.
Right.
It is simply a passion and love of horse racing. They've decided to come and invest, more importantly than money, is time and effort into try and, in making it right. So when I look at the business and the industry, certainly from an ownership perspective, the dynamics of it are such that it's very hard to make money in the business as sort of, if you were to say, I own racing, how much money can I make? The answer is no, you're not going to. So the contributions of, whether it be up in Joburg of Mod, or whether it be Hollywood and myself, are there in order to help out and save racing. To that end, one thing I can tell you of all the names mentioned is that we're absolutely committed, because we are sick for it. We absolutely love it, love days like today, love the race days, and regard it as a privilege and an honor to be able to give back. And so I can say with confidence that certainly, you mentioned a 5-year timeline. I feel very comfortable we can sit here and turn around. We've got 5 great years at a minimum to come in racing. We will hope in perpetuity.
Sure. So
some of the things that you mentioned, other areas that I'm involved in, are let's call them revenue opportunities outside of racing, that if combined in the right way with racing can lead to an annuity stream in perpetuity.
Yes.
To help fund racing, so that as long as the country's around, racing's around. That's the intent.
News. That's great news.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, there was, of course, a time when horse racing was able to sustain itself and carry itself for a long time, for obvious reasons. But then there were natural other reasons, as you alluded to earlier, as to where punters are now playing, and there's lots of competition, and there's other interests and about trying to get them back in. But the key word there is the passion, the drive that you guys have. Yeah. And I have to say, from a weighted to win perspective, and we're talking from weighted to win now, that we're so grateful that somebody like yourself, someone like Owen Heffer, Mary Slack, that you guys have come to the party to say you're ultimately subsidizing the sport. You're paying our salaries, you're making it work. We greatly appreciate punters ultimately continuing to contribute to the pot, because that makes for a greater game at the end of the day. But without you guys putting your hands in your pockets, we know none of us would be here. And we just want to thank you. Long may it continue to the extent that you can find it self-sustainable, which I'm sure you will.
We will.
You'll find that ground.
That's what I'm saying. We will. We are always finding new ways. And what I've realized through all of this is, I mean, yesterday I met a gentleman. I'm not going to mention his name, but if he's watching, he probably will be watching the show. Came to see me out here, had some idea, and maybe the idea has legs, maybe it doesn't. The point being, there are enough people around that are actually so passionate about horse racing, wanted to succeed, and always thinking about different things that they can do and add. And as long as there are people seeking to contribute, we'll be just fine. I really believe it.
We're most grateful.
Absolutely. Goes without saying, this is my passion, and I'm really fortunate. And from my side, I'd like to thank yourself and Mod and Hollywood Bets. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am today. So thank you.
No, awesome. Well, our pleasure. We're grateful. I mean, listen, this is not a one-way street, but we get out of it. I literally can honestly tell you, if there wasn't racing, what the hell would I do? It's like, it's everything. Wake up in the morning, it's like, where we racing today?
What were you doing 10 years ago? All of a sudden you find yourself so busy at something that you love so much.
But that's, listen, I tell my kids, you know, two of my kids, well, one's finished college, one's graduating, and one's just started, is I don't care what you are in life. I don't care what you are. You want to be a businessman, a doctor, a teacher, or a street sweeper. It doesn't matter to me what you choose to be, but whatever you do it with passion. If you don't have a passion for anything, you can never succeed. Like, that's the key. And so what makes it all easy is because, we love this so much. You know what I'm saying? It just makes it so much easier.
Well, we're doing this just before the sales, just by the way, everybody. So Gina has a lot of passion, and I know she's going to be buying a few horses this weekend. So we wish you everything of the best, and I hope she finds you a champion. I really do, and it's exciting. You know what? You deserve it. Get it.
Thank you. Well, listen, I mean, how many lots are there? 400 and
something. They're enough.
Yeah, she's found like 390.
She's
don't you worry about Gina. No flowers.
Well done, Gina. We love Gina, by the way. We absolutely love her. That was Greg Bortz, everybody. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Hope it's been a good one for you, and may you go out and find yourselves a champion.